It was brought to my attention that I don't have a video about the newest or how to set up or configure the lab in program for the current version. So let's go with that. All right, let me go ahead and log in here, and we're going to jump right into configuring lab. Okay. Now in our system, I have lab already set up, so and we do that for our customers, so they don't have to do this on their own. But for those who want to do it on their own, this is how you set up lab. The first thing you need to do is first go to the address book. So go admin, and yes, you have to have admin level privileges here. Go to the admin, go to the address book, and in the address book, you want to put in the lab. Okay. Now, in this particular case, I got Quest in here because we deal with Quest Lab, but whatever lab you're going to be using other than Quest, you still need to put them in here because they need to be in the address book so the other part of the system pick it up. And you need to label it as lab service, okay? And as you can see, there's a bunch of other things you can do in here, but right now we're focusing on lab. So lab service, and then you don't have to fill in this other part. You can fill it in if you want to, but it's not really necessary for the system to function. The only other thing you need in here is an NPI number, and it doesn't have to be real. As you can see that I have 1 through 9 listed as the NPI number. The system requires it, but it doesn't use it, which is one of those weird things, but that happens in software. But it is required. So go ahead and stick that in there and go ahead and save that. I'm going to click cancel because I already got it in there. All right, so when you go to procedure and provider, this is where that comes in handy, because when you open yours, this is going to be empty, okay? And you're going to go to add new. And guess what? From the drop-down menu, oh, that's right, I've already added it. Darn. Okay, it won't let you add more than one. So that's a good thing. So let me do this. I'm gonna go ahead and click this. And then when you click the drop down, you're gonna see Quest. How about that? All right. So we found a little safety feature in there, but moving forward. And it's gonna populate with the NPI number that was in the address book. And then you're gonna select what you're doing here, whether it's for testing, debugging, or production, okay? So right now, ours is for cert testing is what we're doing currently. All right, now, and you're gonna have to get with your lab to figure out how or what information you need to put in here, okay? Because in our particular case for Quest, we only need to fill this box and this box, but you're gonna need an application name, and so sender ID and receiver ID. These are important for the lab orders if you're gonna do a bidirectional or unidirectional interface. Okay, either one, you're going to need both of these pieces of information to go into the requisition form that I might get to later, may not, but this is just a basic setup to get lab functioning. Okay, so this is where we're going to see, let's see, you're going to tell it where you're going to, if you're going to SFTP, meaning of course if you know what SFTP is, you know what it does, or you're going to download it, or you're going to use the local file system. In our case, we're using the local file system because we're going to pick it up and transmit it using an REST API system for Quest. And then you've got web services such as your, what's this thing called? SOAP. Okay, so web services are SOAP and some other types of transmitting. So all of these is how are you going to transmit or access the order once it's done, okay? That's what those are for. And in this case, you can choose read only or results only, meaning it's only inbound. You're not going to be sending anything out, or bidirectional. You're going to send and receive results, okay? In this case right now, we're just doing results only. But we probably should be testing bidirectional. Let me put that in there just for our training, or sorry, not training, but for our, what's that thing called again? Build while we're doing our testing. So remote host is, again, oh, if you click here, you can see where you can get information, okay? So remote host requires if you're submitting an electronic order to an external facility or just receiving results from it. So this is your remote host that you're going to put in there, all right? Because the system has the ability to send and receive. So this is your path of where you're going to be storing the orders on the server, so the program knows where to pick them up. And then the result path, well, guess what? I don't have to tell you. You can read it for yourself. Okay, so results inbound, results outbound. That's what these are about. And so as you can see, each one of these have help next to them, like login protocol, and too bad I called this late, but they're there for your help. So you don't have to memorize this. And when you go in your system, you can see what you need to know here. Notes are for you. It doesn't do anything for the order or the lab company. That's just for you in-house, internal. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and save this. And then you have that. Now, the next thing you're going to need to do before you can make an order, okay, is go to procedure, and you're going to need to go to configuration. Configuration is deceiving because you would think it has to do with configuring the lab, which it doesn't, and it does. Meaning that this is where you're going to put in the orders that you're going to be ordering. Now, in our case, we're dealing with Quest, and so we have a Quest clinical data set. Also, these data sets are tied to a lab, so you can have different lab companies connected to the program and have a unique set of lab orders connected to that lab. We load up what is called the Quest Compendium, and the Quest Compendium has a list of all the standard order types that Quest accepts. And as you can see, it's taking a long time to load because there's a bunch of them. All right, so here, and for those who are following us on the community board, we have the Quest module for sending and receiving orders. And what you're going to find here is that we have added that feature. So when we come out of certification this time, there will be a function, and just I might as well go ahead and show it to you. So when I go here and go to Quest Lab Hub, right here where it says Request Compendium, so you don't have to manually put the lab orders into the system, because otherwise, if you didn't have that feature, so let's do this, because you would have to come in, and then if you watch my older videos, you can see where these can be manually entered as well. So you can go here and pull up top level tier. By the way, I'll put a link to the PDF to do this. The PDF is rather old, but the steps and procedures are exactly the same. Okay, they haven't changed. So same thing here. Tooltips will tell you what each one of these are. Okay, so that PDF will make more sense when you do this. Okay, directions. All right, and then you're going to set up the top level first, and that top level is what you're seeing here. So right here where it says anatomic pathology, that was the top level, and then under the top level is where you're going to put in your order numbers that you're going to be using within the system. So once you put the anatomic pathology or the top level in, then you would go out to the right side and click add. So now you would add a procedure order or discrete result, but the discrete results are really added under here. So like I've added this here, and I would go here, and then I can add discrete result set to that order number, so that when the results come back in, it can auto-populate, or it can be manually populated, the results into the system. Okay, that's the long and the short of that. So now once you've got those two things in place, now you're ready to create an order in the system. So I'm going to go here, and we're going to pick up, let's do, I'm going to do Pepe Le Pew. Okay, now Pepe Le Pew has some orders in his system already because, of course, we've been playing with them for our testing. Oh no, let me close that. All right, so you can see here a bunch of procedure orders. And I'm just going to pick one of these that's already done. But if you're going to create a new procedure order, I would go, for me, I do it this way. There are 2 or 3 different ways to do this same thing that I'm about to do. I'm going to create a new lab order. I mean, not lab order, but a new visit. And it says established patient. Okay. And show me. All right, so I'm going to click that. And then from here, right here where it says order lab, I'm going to go here, and then this here, it comes in the system, but in order to enable it, you have to go to admin forms, and then forms administration, and here it is, number 36, lab requisition. Okay, when you open your system, that lab requisition is going to be down here at the bottom under unregister. In order to register, just click register. It'll pop up at the top when it reloads the screen. And then you're just going to click, the next would be to install database. And after you install the database, then you would get the enable. Then it'll be disabled at first, but you'll just click it and enable it. And then once you enable it, then you can label it lab order so that it stands out on the screen, makes it easy to find. And this stuff here is for another video. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of here and go back to Paperly Pugh's chart. Close that and close that. Now we're back in Paperly Pugh's chart. This is a lot, I know, but I'm going to go ahead and select procedure order. And now I finally get to the part where I'm going to place an order. Now these things are not defaulted to their, so yeah, you can programmatically default these if you want to. That would need to go into the code and do that, but for right now, these are all manually set. Status is pending, and yes, you have to set all of these, otherwise your order won't work right. And so Happy Days is going to this, and ABN is not required at this point. And we're going to have billing by third party because we're going to be billing the insurance company. But if they were billing self-pay, okay, or bill the clinic. So those are your choices there. And then you got to put a collection date in there. Again, your order not going to be right if there's no collection date. So I'm going to put, oops, you can see it today is, okay, I'm going to go ahead and leave that there as my collection date. Now my top level is ready to go. Any patient history or patient instructions, those are self-explanatory. And now most labs require a diagnosis, okay, that goes with the lab. You can put that there. And as you can see, I have Quest selected, but if I had more than one lab here, I can select different labs, lab companies, and that's going to dictate what I see when I click here. And oh man, I wish I'd looked at that others. Let's see. I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to see if I can cheat. Let me go back here. Nah, this is fun. Okay, I'm going to look up heart. And I get one. Ooh, because I was trying not to get a big old list up here. So heart, tract, and cleaver. There we go. So I'm going to select that one. And then I'm going to add my diagnosis code to it. Yes, it comes up to CPT codes, but that's just a glitch in the matrix. And you can get somebody with coding experience to go in there and default this to ICD-10s. All right, so I'm just going to pick something to show. And now I'm ready to either add more procedure orders or I can change this to lab tests, okay? And you can play around with this. And then either I'm going to transmit the order, I'm just going to save it, and it'll drop to the local file, depending on how I had the other site configured, and we're good to go. We're ready to produce an order at this point. Well, thanks for watching. If you got any questions, leave them in the comments below, and we'll get to them as soon as possible.